So this guy pretends to be the son of a famous celebrity, and that somehow made Will Smith gay. Wait, let me explain. So there's this dude, his name's David, and David is 19, he's living in New York City, and one night in 1983, he and his friend are out, and they're trying to get into a club, Studio 54. So they wait in line for like an hour, and when they finally get to the door, the bouncer tells them, it's gonna be $50 each. And David's like, well, we ain't got $50. Because, they're teenagers, they're broke, they can't pay that entry fee, and so they leave. But then, as they're leaving, David gets an idea. He's like, why don't we pretend to be celebrities, kids? Then they'll have to let us in. And then he's like, you pretend to be Gregory Peck's son, and I'll pretend to be Sidney Poitier's son. And his friend hears this crazy idea, and he's like, all right. Now, if you don't know, Sidney Poitier is an actor, and this is 1983, so he's super famous at this time. He's the first black actor to win the Oscar for Best Actor, so his name carries a lot of weight during this period. And so David and his friend, they get back in line, and it takes like an hour and a half for them to get to the door again, and somehow the bouncer doesn't recognize them. And David tells them that they're the sons of these famous actors, and just like that, boom, the bouncer ushers them into the club. And let me tell you, this club is poppin', so everyone is looking good, and there are celebrities and famous people everywhere. This is the kind of life David has always wanted. And immediately, he's like, well, I gotta keep doing this. And that's what he does. Because 3 days later, he tries again. He walks into a nice bistro and he tells the doorman that he wants a table for two because his dad, Sidney Poitier, is going to be joining him later. And kaboom, they immediately give him a table, and the restaurant staff is all nice to him, and they're giving him immaculate service. He's ordering all this food, and they send over free drinks to the table. Now, obviously, Sidney Poitier never shows up, and the staff is like, your dad's probably busy, whatever, your meal is on the house. And so it worked again, flawlessly. And that is when David decides he's gonna keep going as long as possible. Hell, he might even try and get rich off this. But then, bro has a crazy stroke of luck. Because one day, he's visiting a friend up at Connecticut College. And there, he steals another student's address book out of his dorm room. And that student just happens to be kind of rich and has well-connected parents. So now, David has the addresses and phone numbers of all these rich people. Some of them happen to live back in New York City. And this is when he really starts making a name for himself. He starts calling all these well-connected people and basically telling them a bullshit story about how he's Sidney Poitier's kid, and they believe him and they let him hang out. And so he gets to hang out with like Calvin Klein and Melanie Griffith and Gary Sinise. He's the guy who later played Lieutenant Dan in Forrest